Hi guys, good morning or good afternoon or good evening, whatever time of day it is when you're watching this. I'm glad you're here to hear the next part of the story. We are hearing stories this summer from Abraham and Sarah's family tree. Remember, and all of them come from this Growing in God's Love story Bible. So first we heard the story of Abraham and Sarah and how God asked them to move to a whole new country. And they did. They took everything and moved to a whole new place. And then when they were really old, they had a promise from God that they would have a son. And Sarah laughed. She couldn't imagine that that would happen. But it did. And so they named their son Isaac, whose name means laughter. Today we're going to hear about when Isaac grows up and finds his own person to love. How do you welcome guests to your house? Do you invite them to sit down? Do you offer them something to eat or drink? Listen for how Rebekah and her family welcomed a stranger. Rebekah lived with her family in a city. Each night before dinner, it was her job to get water from the city well. One night, Rebekah went to the well with the other women from the city. She carried her big water jar on her shoulders. After she filled her jar with water, she saw a stranger praying to God. The man looked up from his prayer and saw Rebekah. "Please," he said, "may I have a sip of your water?" "Of course," Rebekah said kindly. "Drink all you want, and I will go and get some for your camels as well." Rebekah ran back to the well. She filled her jar again and again until every animal had had some water. Then Rebekah invited the stranger to join her family for dinner. I hope her mom and dad weren't upset. Before they ate, the man said, "I have something amazing to tell you. I work for a man named Abraham. He's part of your family." Abraham and his wife Sarah followed God far, far away from here. When they were very, very old, they had a baby named Isaac. Now, Isaac is all grown up, and Abraham sent me here to find a wife for Isaac to marry. I was asking for God to help me. That's what I was praying for at the well. And then I looked up and I saw Rebekah. I know that she's the one for Isaac. Rebekah's family thought about how far away Rebekah would be if she agreed to marry Isaac. But Rebekah's family also felt God tugging on their hearts. And they agreed God must be calling Rebekah to marry Isaac. The man begged the family to send Rebekah with him the very next day. Rebekah's family said, "That's a big decision. Only Rebekah can decide." So they called her and asked her, "Do you want to go with this man? Do you want to marry this man, Isaac?" Rebekah thought about the journey she would take. She wondered what this man called Isaac was like. But Rebekah also felt God tugging on her heart. So she said, "Yes, I will go." Early the next morning, Rebekah began her long journey to her new home. She was riding a camel when she saw a man walking in the fields. "Who is that man?" she asked. "That man is Isaac." The man who worked for Abraham introduced Rebekah and Isaac. Then he told Isaac everything that had happened. And Isaac married Rebekah, and he loved her. Rebekah was glad that God had tugged on her heart. She loved Isaac. They comforted each other when they were sad, and they cared for each other as they grew old. All because she was kind and because she and her family listened to God. Does God sometimes talk to us through other people, or even without using words? Does God come and meet us sometimes in strangers? Maybe people that we don't know carry God's message. Talk to your family about somebody that you might welcome. You have to be creative right now, because we can't just invite people over to our houses like we used to, can we? But how could you make somebody feel welcome, glad to be a part of your life or your community? Maybe you could write an encouraging note to someone that you already know, like your old school teacher. I bet they could use some encouragement. Or a new neighbor, or an older person in the church, somebody who needs some encouragement. And then listen for God to speak somehow through somebody. I hope that you have a wonderful week and that God visits you even if you don't get to see many other people. And I hope that I get to see you somehow, sometime soon. All right, have a great week. Bye, guys.